Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video I want to show you how I use these watercolor poinsettias that I painted just over the weekend, and I want to create a Christmas card, so I just wanted to bring you along and make a Christmas card with this artwork. So the first thing that I want to do is to make sure I'm in my studio. In my earlier video I showed you how to set up a studio. I called it pattern making, but now I'm feeling like it needs to be called something else because it's not just for patterns. I use it for everything that I do in my surface design. So you can just right click and edit pattern making, and here where it says pattern making you can just change to my studio or surface design. I don't know yet. Here in the description you can add or remove, etc., and then you can update. But I showed you how to create these specific studio with your vector tools, picture tools, and the panels that you need, and your favorite panels in an earlier video. So head over to that one after this one so you can set up your own studio. This is Affinity, actually the latest version of Affinity free for desktop, and hopefully soon they'll make it available in the iPad, but for now it's just available in the desktop. So let's turn these beautiful flowers into a Christmas card. So this is my scan. The first thing I usually do is just remove the background, but I always like to have keep the original and then just work on the duplicate. So to do that I just click on the layers, go to my layers panel, click on the layer, and Control J, I'm in a PC, Control J duplicates, and then I add a layer, pixel layer in between, and then I just fill that layer, select the fill tool, and right below it is the flood fill tool. It's the little bucket. Select the color. I'll just put a black color so that I can see what I'm removing, and I just click anywhere around in the white area that fill that layer with the black background. So now the other thing I want to do with this one is I have a little bit of a shadow here in the edge where the scanner screen ended. I want to clean that up just a little bit so that I can grab as much of that white as possible. So for that I go here to the adjustments and go to the levels. In the white level I'll just turn that in just a little bit so I can get rid of that little bit of a shadow. I think that's, and I don't want to make too much of a change on the actual flowers and the leaves, so that looks good. One thing here is, let's see how it looks. Oh, I like it. It brightens everything just a little bit and gets rid of a lot of that shadow in that area. So now I just hit merge and it merges with my layer. Now the next thing I want to do is to head over and find here in this little container for selection, find my flood selection tool, which looks like the magic wand, and with the magic wand here at the top in the toolbar you'll get some additional options. I like to keep the tolerance at 10% or lower to start with. Make sure that it's contiguous, so everything that it touches it's going to be removed. And for this one I have some areas here that are a little bit light, so we'll see how that's going to work. Like for example here, so I may have to do some cleaning, but we'll get to that. And so 10% contiguous, let's start with that. So let's just click here in the white area and see how it looks. And it looks like it's doing a very good selection of most of these, except for the one that I was worried about down here. So in order to fix this one I want to keep all this area and some of these areas here and here, and maybe do a little bit of cleanup. So in order to do that I go to the selection tools, and here go to the freehand selection tool, and with that one, the freehand selection tool looks like a little lasso, I can then add or remove to the selection. Since I selected the white, I want to remove from the white, so I hit Alt in my keyboard, and then with that I can go ahead and remove that selection. Actually I can do it a little bit nicer, so now that's included in or removed from the white selection. This area as well I want to clean up this one. It's removed from the selection. Oops. hit the space bar, undo that. Okay, click Ctrl Z, and then that undoes that selection. Keep Alt on my keyboard, remove that. I want to kind of smooth out just enough of this one here as well, and this one's looking good now. Here I want to smooth this area just a little bit. So what else? This looks good, this flower looks good. This one up here I can do a little bit of smoothing as well, so just clean up that, and also clean up here just a little bit. Okay, so everything else looks like it has a very good selection. So now I can go ahead and hit delete, and now I have my flowers, and there's some white areas that I still want to go ahead and remove some of these inside here. So make sure that I have this little flood selection tool selected. At the top, the tolerance is still 10% and contiguous, and then I can clean up this white here in the leaves. This one looks good, this one looks good. There's a little bit of white here between these two flowers, and everything else looks the same. Now looks good. The other thing I want to do is just to use the erase brush tool, and just increase the size, and then just erase some of these areas. Make sure nothing is selected because it won't let you do so. See, I had this area here selected, and I was trying to erase this here. It's not gonna let me, so hit Control D to deselect. Now it's unselected, so now I can use my eraser and do a little bit of cleanup, a little bit more cleanup of the art. And let's see, some of these areas, make it a little bit smaller, come off as well. Now I like the way that it's clean, but when you look at it very close, you'll see that it gets these usually when I do use that flood selection tool. There's a little bit of that white halo. So what I usually do here is I just go to the selection, and in an earlier video I showed you as well how to create a macro to create your little library to remove that little halo. So I'll show you very quickly how to do it. Select Control and click on that layer, and it will make this selection. See the margin ends. Now the next thing we want to do, I already have a macro that does this step, and all I have to do is to click on it. But basically what it does is it shrinks the selection by 2 pixels, feathers, does the inverse and deletes, and I've showed you in an earlier video how to do that. I'll show you one more time and then we'll run the macro, but the process is the same. Just go ahead, go to macro. After you have the artwork selected, actually just go ahead and click start recording. Once you have the artwork selected, you head over to pixel selection, and here in pixel selection you want to grow and shrink. So the first thing we're going to do is to use -2 pixels. Hit enter. -2 pixels is going to shrink that selection, and you can see here that it move that selection inside the artwork, and then hit apply. So the next thing we want to do, go to pixel selection, and then here we want to feather by 1 pixel or 0.5, and then apply that kind of smooths out that selection just a little bit. Now we want to go ahead and select the inverse, so the same thing, pixel selection, invert, which is Control-Shift-I. So inverts that selection. So now everything that it's outside, not the artwork, but everything that it's outside. And now you hit zoom in so you can see. Now we hit delete, and it removes that excess or that white halo around the flowers. So now The next thing that's done, so you want to stop the macro, stop recording, and then here where it says add to library, just add it to your library, add a name and add it to whatever category you have and add it from there. I'm not going to do it now because I already have that macro here, so let's do that again. Control C to undo, and then Control D to deselect. Here before I run the macro, I have to always make sure that I have made the selection, so Control and click on that icon in the layer, and then once you see the margin ends, you can go ahead and click on the macro, and there you go, it removes that. So we removed all these white halos and it's looking good. So the next thing I want to do is to use these flowers and a Christmas card. So let's go to File, New, and then here select 5x7. If you don't have one for your presets, you can just go ahead and enter that information here. You can create a preset, you can give it a name here. You can select the document units in inches, the DPI, minimum of 300 DPI. Select the width and the height. Select whether you want a transparent background or you want the regular white background. I prefer transparent background, so I just turn that on. And the color format is RGB, and then you hit create document. Now in this document, what I want to do, the first thing is it starts as a vector. That's fine, we can go back to my studio in a minute and use all the other tools there, but first I usually create a background and then I go over flowers and select the flowers. Right click and copy that layer, and then let's bring it over to, and Control V to paste it, and it looks good. I think what I want to do is maybe separate some of these flowers and have them, see, kind of like having them here. This looks good. And maybe duplicate it and flip it around and have another set of flowers here. I like this looks good. Just put it over here. And now I want to change the background color, and I want to go back to my studio because I have everything that I like, everything that I need. I want to change the color of that rectangle in the background, and I want to pick some of the colors from the actual flowers, so let's do that. Let's see the color picker, and let's pick one of these, and then if you double click there, you can just, I like getting it a little bit lighter, but just enough color and saturation, so just move it up. I like that color in the background, and I like how these look here. So the other thing I can do is group these two, and then, oh, that's pretty. Okay, I'll do that. Now that they're grouped, I can click Alt and make a copy of it, and here on this one I can move it to the top, and then here on this one I can just move the layer so that this one goes above. Then I want to remove these and put it, okay, so let's do that. Now I have these leaves that I want to put behind, so I have my part selected. I go to my selection tool, the freehand selection tool, and let's select that and zoom in so we can see. Okay, let's make sure that's all we're selecting, and then I'm hitting Control X to cut and Control V to paste, and then Control D to deselect or escape both. Now what I can do with these leaves is to bring it back, move the layer all the way down, and then select the move tool and move it over here. I'm thinking this one I can make maybe even smaller so I can see. Yeah, that looks good. But I'm thinking that these leaves, I want to bring them in just a little bit, so I'll do the same thing. Head over to my freehand selection tool, make sure that I'm in the right layer and select those leaves. Control X to cut and Control V to paste, escape or Control D to deselect. And now I can just select it and I can move now. These flowers over here so I can see them better, and then these I can move below the flowers and just make that down there, and that looks very pretty. So this is fairly simple. The next thing I like to do is to add some texture. So I'm going to create now a layer right above that rectangle background layer, and it's a pixel layer. And then I want to head over to my tools and select the paintbrush tool. And then here in the brushes I have something already selected, which is probably the one that I want to use, but it's this. In the brushes I already have some watercolor brushes that I like, that I imported from my favorite brushes that I purchased, and I like this one wet into wet. So the next thing I want to do is to use the color that I had in my picker, which is already a color that it's in the flowers, and I want to create a little bit of a watercolor background. So just make sure I'm in the layer right above this rectangle, and I like to add some texture, and that looks good. Now it's a little bit too much, so one thing that I like to do is to select the layer, make sure that it's the bright blue, and the next thing I want to do here is to change the opacity. 50% looks good, maybe even like 40%. It's good too, I like that. And let's see, yeah, it just adds a little bit of texture and makes it look very pretty. So the next thing, I already have some of my assets, some of my favorite fonts that I like to use, and I have this one that I saved, but obviously I don't want to say happy anniversary. I just dragged from my assets and I want to say Merry Christmas. So let's go here and change these to Merry Christmas. I like that. And then here in the second line I want to say and Happy New Year. Okay, and then what I want to do is, it's centered, I want to change these to be all caps. So in order to do that, when I have my artistic text tool selected, I can go here to this typography in the toolbar, and here all the way where it says capital, it says normal, I can change it all to all caps. So I like that. And then I can just close that, and then I can change the so that it fits the Merry Christmas. Just change the size just a little bit, and then that looks good. Actually, I don't want it like right in the center, so what I want to do is just to move it, put it where I want it, and then maybe move these flowers just a little bit so that I don't have that okay, yeah, that looks good. Yeah, okay. And I already had that red color, I like it. So I think that's it. So hopefully you learned something today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.